We have Representative Pierrick and Representative Kong. And so I just want to first to say that, you know, your frustration is real. We feel it every time we're here on the west side. It's legitimate and it's understandable because we're dealing with that thing that people hold most precious. That is their kids. So it's understandable, but just please know that we are here with you. We are here with you. And we're here to listen to your voice. And we want to walk with you to get to a better place. That is our intention. That is our heart. That's our intention. So specifically, who's the we? And what are we doing? So we have two different entities up here. First, a little bit of background. Speaker of the House, Scott Psyche, he formed these interim working groups. And we have 6 of them. And the idea of these working groups is to take a look at and assess the situation as it relates to the fire and look at various aspects. And so what you see in front of you are members from the School Working Interim Committee. And our responsibility is to look at the state government's response specific to the DOE schools. Ultimately, this body will make recommendations that will go into a report. That report will conclude in December. Then the House of Representatives will pull from that report and draft bills, and those bills will be considered next year for the 2024 legislative session. And so for us, the session starts in early January, the first business day of January. And so we're grateful for all of you sharing your time, and we look forward to hearing your remarks. And so our school working group, interim committee, we decided early on that we felt it would be better before we got too far into our work to come here to West Maui to hear your voice. And before we start getting too deep into the details, we wanted to know if we're actually on the right track. And so we are grateful for you to be here today. And then, as we decided that, actually it was like late last week, I had a conversation with Superintendent Hayashi over the phone. I told the superintendent what we were planning to do, define as the working group, that we wanted to come out to Maui, we wanted to come out to West Maui, and we wanted to receive feedback from the community in real time. And our thought is to integrate the West Maui voice into the entirety of the process. And so not just the middle or the end, but the entirety. And so we're trying something actually a little bit new. And when I asked the superintendent if he could please come and provide an update to the West Side community, without hesitation, actually, he said yes, without hesitation. And so that is this man's heart. And it was challenging to get them over here, I can say, if I may just say that, like logistically so, because the superintendent and his top team, they actually committed to another event on different islands. And so they broke away from that to be here with us today and to help and offer the Department of Education's update as it relates to what they have been doing since the last community meeting that they held here at Harvest Church down the street. And so we're grateful for them for being here. And okay, so like I said, this is an official meeting of the House of Representatives. Okay, and so because that is the case, we have to follow certain structures in terms of how we actually run this meeting. And it's because, again, ultimately, you know, what you say, what we hear from you can translate into policy. So there are certain things that we have to adhere to, like I mentioned. I'm joined here by co-chair Takanoguchi. Again, we are pleased to have her a part of the working group. And so I'll just run through quickly, you know, kind of the flow of what's going to happen. So the superintendent is going to give his update on behalf of the Department of Education. Then the working group will share our ideas as it relates to what we are thinking about digging into. And so we haven't decided yet, but we have some ideas. We want to hear what you folks think. If we're in the right direction or wrong direction, if we're in the right path or wrong path, because that will help inform our work. And again, that work will go into the report. The report will be used to inform policy prescriptions next session. So thereafter, again, we want to hear from you. We have at least 2 hours for that portion of the meeting. And so we are required also, because it's a public meeting in which we're going to use to aggregate the information that might translate into policy, we are required to offer participation via online. And so we have our hardworking IT team here, also from the House of Representatives. They came bright and early, and they're here, and they're going to help facilitate Co-Chair and I with the discussion. And so what's going to happen is we're going to go back and forth. We're going to take comments from those that are in person, and we are also going to take comments from those that are online. You know, as of 9:05, we had about 54 individuals that are participating online. And so we are going to also prioritize West Maui people. So if you're online and you're listening to my voice, we want to hear from the West Side. So if you're not from the West Side, we're going to respectfully ask that you wait until all the West Side people have a chance to share their thoughts. A little bit of housekeeping also in closing. And so we have these 2 cards here. One is from the school working group. The other is from the Department of Education. Because the purpose of this meeting is to receive community feedback, we are not taking questions in real time. But what we will do is, if you have questions, or if you want to be kept up to date, either from the school working group or the Department of Education, or if you want to share additional comments, then we have these cards. You can either fill out the cards, we have pens in the back, we have hand sanitizer in the back, or there's also QR codes. If you want to kind of digest what you've heard today and respond later, then you can do that. But these are separate cards. Yeah. So one is from the school working group, the blue one, and the other one is from, oh, actually, no, I see here. The white one is from the school working group. What is this? Which one is which? Okay, so the DOE's is the white one, and the blue one is from the school working group. So there's QR codes also if you want to do that later on your phones. And so I think that's all I have. If you do have questions, again, for either the DOE or the school working group, the school working group has committed to respond to you folks within 3 business days. So we're going to get our responses back to you relatively quickly. And I imagine that the DOE could do something similar, although you know, I don't know what all the DOE has on their plate. I just do know that I had conversations with this man at like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, so I think that they're also very, very, very busy. Okay, so I'm gonna ask the other members to introduce themselves and to share where they're from. And then after that, hopefully the DOE can do the same, and then we'll get started.
Hi Hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Jenna Takenuuchi. I'm a newly elected representative based on Oahu, House District 27, which runs from Aloha Heights to Papakolea. Thank you for having us here with you this morning.
Aloha kako, my name is Lisa Martin and I represent Waimanalo and Kailua on the windward side of Oahu.
Aloha, I'm Elijah Bear. I'm a state representative in West Oahu, Eva Beach, Waipahu. I'm still starting to hear what's going on in West Maui.
Aloha, I'm Sam Kong out of Aiea, and I thank you for coming and sharing your experiences.
Aloha, good morning. My name is Keith Hayashi. I'm the State Superintendent for Public Schools. And joining us on our team, we have Heidi Armstrong, Deputy Superintendent, Rebecca Winky, Complex Area Superintendent, and Tammy Oyadamari-chan, the Deputy Superintendent. Also joining us, we have our Communications Director, Nanea Kalani, Ken Kakistako, of the Policy, Director for Policy, and I just got a couple of principals, Gary Kanamori, principal at Princess Nahi'enaena Elementary School, and Jennifer Everett, thank you, sorry Jen. Jennifer Everett, principal at King Kamehameha III Elementary School. Toby Partner also is here, and Sarah from our homeschool liaisons, Makini Vento, who have been on the ground from day one, helping to support our students and our families. So we're here to, also we have Momi Ball, Deputy Complex Area Superintendent, and Momi is, Momi's right back there. Okay. So as for the Department of Education, I want to thank the committee chair and the rest of the committee members for providing us an opportunity to share an update on where we are with the department. Okay, so you may have already heard through the media that we have been engaging with the State Department of Health, and we really want to thank them for their collaborative effort between our two agencies. And safety is very important, and for our students as well as for our staff and our employees. So we have engaged in and have received the results of various environmental testing in collaboration with professional organizations as well as the Department of Health and Maui County. So just to quickly go through some of what the areas that we've assessed. First of all, the air quality at our 3 schools in partnership with the Department of Health. Those sensors are up at each of our campuses. And so air quality is at an acceptable level, and so air quality is safe, as has been shared by Department of Health Director Kenneth Fink. Also, water quality is also safe at an acceptable level based on the results that have been gathered by Maui County. If you go on to the Maui County website, there is also, you can see the specific pipes from our individual campuses that the samples have been taken. So all of the results are there if you're interested in taking a look at them. As far as for ground and ash, we did engage with a professional organization that specializes in testing. And those tests were sent both to Oahu and to the mainland for results. And so that has taken the longest, actually. Results for that have come back, and there are no actionable items, well below an EPA standard. So it is safe as far as ground and any ash that may have been at the school. So that has been assessed. There was one area on one part of the Lahaina Luna campus. There was some elevation of levels of nickel, but as Director Fink had shared, it was still well below the EPA standard, and common in volcanic areas. We did also assess other areas, including power to our schools, which is really important because we have refrigeration for student lunch and so forth. So power has been stable. Looking at our broadband connectivity, that also is stable and back to very acceptable levels. Want to thank Hawai'i Telecom for their support there in getting our broadband back up. So as a result, we are the planned phase back approach, phase in for students and staff back to our 3 campuses. All of our teachers and staff will be at their respective campuses. Lahaina Luna High, teachers and staff at Lahaina Luna High School, the intermediate at the intermediate, and both Princess Nahiena Elementary and King Kamehameha III Elementary at the Princess Nahiena campus. So our teachers and staff will be reporting on the 6th of October, it's Friday. Following that, from the 9th to the 13th, it is fall break, It's a fall break. A phased approach returning back on the 16th. We do have our Lahaina Luna High School students reporting for school on Monday the 16th. Lahaina Intermediate students reporting on the 17th. And Nahiena Elementary and King Kamehameha III Elementary on the 18th. So prior to that, it would only be staff only on campus until students report. To accommodate the collaborative student enrollment from King Kamehameha III on Princess Nahiana's campus, we do have, we will have temporary structures up, which are air-conditioned, wood floor, air-conditioned, tent-like canvas type structures, but air-conditioned, and either run on power from the school or through generator. So that is the return of our students to both through our Lahaina campuses. We have heard from both teachers and community members that it's really important for our Lahaina students to to be at our Lahaina school campuses. So we have done our best to expedite that process again, but not compromising the health and safety that's the most important. On our reopening West Maui schools, we do have a handout in the back, and we do ask that there is a QR code on the bottom right-hand side of that handout. Lahaina School Survey for Parents. So for our parents, we would very much want you to access that QR code and the survey that's there, so that we can we can get additional information to better prepare for our students to transition back into our Lahaina schools. Okay, and then let's see, other announcements. That was also made on a temporary school site at Pulelehua. It is on the lower right-hand side of the property at the Kapolo Airport, and in that housing subdivision that's starting, we do have a parcel of land there that we've partnered with through FEMA, and that mission has been assigned to the Army Corps of Engineers, and so that also will get started. And the Army Corps has shared that the school may be up in as few as, I believe it was 95 days, and which is phenomenal. And so whenever we're able to open that temporary school, and again, I want to emphasize the temporary site for our King Kamehameha III students, we'll begin that transition at that time. I'm sorry, I forgot to, I also neglected to share that before students report back to school, we will be sharing with our families a handbook on and processes for the occupational health and safety for our students and staff, and things that we need to consider in various situations that may arise in moving forward. Definitely, we hope for the best, and we know that having students in person on campus is one of the most important things in terms of moving back towards a sense of normalcy, because we do have opportunities for students not just to get together with their peers and their friends, but other kinds of supports on campus, as well as breakfast and lunch and other activities through returning to campus. So, okay, did I forget anything? Also, thank you, Deputy Armstrong. So also, counseling services are provided. We do have handouts in the back, both for youth and for staff. That's really important. We have community-based services, both in person, as well as virtual options for students. That handout in the back, that's really important. We have school-based services here to help, as well as 24/7 partnership support through HMSA and HMSA as a partner. Also for our staff, again, in-person, phone, and crisis support for our staff. So those are available to all of our students and staff on our campuses. So it's really important that we get our students back in person. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Superintendent, for providing that update. I hope you all got something from that. And so now we're going to transition and go into the school working group component. And first, I just want to thank Lori Betzel Nelson. I want to thank Kamalani Church for having this space for us. We were very intentional, again, with the type of environment that we wanted, because we want to communicate togetherness. And so that's the tone we're trying to set. You are people, we are people, government is made of people. And so we're just trying to do the best we can to make sure that we're servicing you correctly. And if we're not, that's why we're here. Because improvement is always the constant, yeah. That should be the constant, improvement. And so, again, that's why we're here. And so, we had some initial conversations and discussions within the working group, and one of the topics of concentration potentially is with regards to DOE and evacuation plans. We're asking questions like, is there evacuation plans in place for all of our schools? How do we make sure that we're accounting for all the students, but also the DOE staff? Are there drills held with regards to these evacuation plans? Should there be drills held? Should we include our DOE bus service? Should we integrate them into the evacuation plans? If something is happening and parents are coming to grab their kids, what specifically are the accountability measures to make sure that each and every child is accounted for so that we don't lose anyone? And, should these evacuation plans, if they are in place, are they robust enough? Should they look different depending upon what type of evacuation that is being practiced? Defined as, we imagine that, if it's wind or if it's water, those evacuation efforts might look different. And so we want to know from you if you feel that that's something that the working group should be looking into and working with the DOE to improve if in fact that is the case. Okay, so that is like one idea we have. is to try to look at the DOE as it specifically relates to evacuations, and that is applicable statewide. Another area of interest that we have been preliminarily discussing has to do with moving forward when we are thinking about these structures, these DOE assets, these buildings. Should the state think about investing in hardening like cafeterias, gymnasiums to where they can withstand not only a hurricane, but other natural disaster events? Is it even possible? I'm just going to tell you unfilteredly, I don't know if we can build structures to withstand, 1,000-degree temperature fires, but we should have the discussion. And furthermore, what's the conversation going to be, or should we have conversation around, should those evacuation sites, if we do decide to move forward with that, be accessible to the public? When we're talking about evacuation and the lack of ingress, egress, what are some of the other options so that we can protect our community members? And so these are the type of topics we're thinking about looking into, but ultimately we're here to hear from all of you. We want to know if you think we're on the right track, on the wrong track, from the very beginning. And again, if you want to be updated with our process, let us know via these cards, and then we can continue to integrate that discussion. And so we're just trying to do things differently as it relates to holding each other's hands when we are deciding things that are not only going to impact West Maui, but the entirety of the state of Hawaii. Okay? So that's one of the lessons that came out of all this, and we're just trying to do things differently, and that's why we're very grateful that all of you are here today. We want to hear from you. We want to hear your voice. We want that voice to translate into policy. So now I'm going to pass it to Co-Chair Takanouchi, who has some additional ideas that we're going to be looking into.
Thank you. Just really quickly, because I think these two aspects of what the committee might be looking at is going to be largely shaped by some of the feedback you guys will be giving us and continue to give us. Just quickly, we will probably be looking at discussions on how best to engage community with government and the DOE about looking at, I guess, this the discussion around when we do need to move a school or open school or close a school, and how that happens within community to involve parents, students, and everyone in that. So to hear your feedback on how you think we might best be able to support and shape those discussions with everyone. As well as, I know, sorry. And then definitely talks around how we best support students in the aftermath of this kind of tragedies that happen, and making sure that the government is properly funding and able to deploy not just getting kids back in the classroom, but also the mental health aspects, the social and emotional wellness surrounding getting kids back in the classroom, and even parents and teachers and staff and the entire school community, and how we where the gaps in that are, and how we can best support programs like that moving forward. But.
Thank you. And just lastly, before I ask the other members if they want to share any other ideas that maybe we haven't discussed yet, even moving forward, obviously we're going to need to eventually rebuild another school to replace the one that we lost. And so right now there's a process in place, but does it make sense in your folks' mind that we actually include community feedback in the beginning before we start planning, before we start designing, and so that there is more togetherness with how we're designing these spaces for our kids as it relates to learning? That would be something I would like to try to work with you folks on doing better, so that there's a fusion between community and government as it specifically relates to how we're doing these various processes. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to the other representatives to see if they have any other thoughts And then please, if you have comments and responses based upon what either the DOE said or the school working group said, please start lining up. If you are participating online, thank you for being here. We're going to ask that you raise your hand via the Zoom feature, and then our tech support team will let us know here in front, and we'll start calling people also that are participating via Zoom. Okay? So members, any other? Okay, representative.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to bring some of my prior practice here as we begin to listen to you guys. There's freedom in this space to share and to process what you've gone through. Death is a very hard thing to go through. I was a hospice chaplain for 3 years, and so I've been with people who have processed that, and so don't feel like there's an expectation on our end that you have to keep your composure while you're sharing. If it's hard, we're here to listen to the hard. So we're here for you. And then on the policy piece, feel free to share your perspective if you think school choice would be a good idea or not, with regards to parents taking their kids to the school of their choice. If they think a certain school has better fire protections, maybe the parents want to pursue that school instead. So feel free to share your benevolent perspective on that.
Okay, thank you for sharing, Representative. Please, members, or community, if you have, we want to hear your voice and for you to share your thoughts, so please come up. And you can start forming a line behind also if there's others that want to share their thoughts or comments based upon what you heard either from the DOE, from the school working group, or both. That's why we're here. This portion right now is why we're here. We want to hear your voice. So please, we want to hear what you have to say. Thank you.
My name is Pakalana Phillips, and I want to thank you for coming to us. We appreciate it, especially with everything going on. Your presence here in Lahaina is important to us. Just to introduce myself, of course, my name is Pakalana, like the flower. I'm a mother of 6 children. I'm a former DOE teacher. I started working in education special ed at Kamehameha 3rd Elementary Preschool. I worked for a short time at Lahaina Intermediate, and I ended my professional career at Lahaina Luna High School as a special education teacher and also the student activity coordinator at Lahaina Luna. My 3 older kids graduated from Lahaina Luna. My husband and his many generations are born and raised in Lahaina, graduated from Lahaina Luna. Currently, my children, I have 2 registered, one at Princess Nahi'ana'ena and one at Lahaina Intermediate. They are currently doing online school, and so I'm trying to give testimony so that I can get home to help them finish their work for today. I have many things to say, so thank you so much for being here. When I first started at Kamehameha 3rd Elementary School, I sat on the board that worked with the, I was sitting on the board as a community member. And back there, over 20 years ago, we were working on moving the school out of a tsunami zone. Okay, so Cam 3rd is built in a tsunami zone. When we do evacuations, we would walk our students from Kamehameha 3rd all the way up the road, and we would practice going to the youth center and crossing major highways at the time with no sidewalks. For years, we've asked for them to move. For generations, that school has been there in a tsunami zone. We've allowed our kids to go to school in a dangerous place. And because it's been there for many generations, people just allow it. Thank God, no tsunami took out our school while our kids were in school. Now, our students will be going back to Lahaina High School, Lahaina Intermediate, Princess Nahiana, with no evacuation plan in place. Our home was destroyed right below, right off of Lahaina Road. We lived on Pownell Street, where many of the homes are no longer standing. We were fortunate not to be home. Unfortunately, our uncle who lived with us did not make it out of the fire. Why must we wait to put our kids in danger before somebody comes up with a plan to make sure our children are safe? There is one entrance, one exit on Lahaina Road for our students. I agree, our students belong back together, 100%. They need to be back with their schoolmates in their community. I agree. But we cannot wait another 20 years and put our kids in a dangerous situation without a plan. That is, before you even open up, there should be a plan in place so that our kids do not have to be in harm's way again. It shouldn't take another 20 years. Kamehameha III, I sat on that board when we agreed to move it right below the Kapalua Airport. It's been over 20 years. It still hasn't been built. You cannot rebuild back there. It was in a tsunami zone. And if the fire happened while we were in school, we would have lost so many more of our community members and children because there was no evacuation plan for this kind of catastrophe. It needs to be statewide that our schools are prepared for this kind of catastrophe to happen and our kids get out safely. Now, I have multiple things that I want to share and not enough time to share them. I think there's a solution to create a way to get multiple other ways to get in and out of Lahaina High School, Intermediate, and Princess Nahiana. Fortunately, everything burned, so I can't print that up map for you, but creating a different way off of the duct bypass that comes up higher, that you can come into the intermediate and the high school, and ways to create roads that you're actually able to get out of those schools. For now, when we start, it's always been difficult to get your kids to school and pick them up because of the traffic, because there's only one road going up and down. I'm going to propose that we stagger our start times and starting from the high school coming down, because if you're dropping off your kids from the top coming down, you're only having to take left turns instead of trying to turn right and blocking traffic. Starting Lahaina High School at 7:45 and doing increments of a half an hour. In Kona, they had the same problem. You had Kaipuni, Intermediate and high school all on the same road. They had traffic. All they did is stagger their times, and it alleviated the flow of traffic. So Lahaina High School, 7:45. Intermediate, 8:15. Princess Nahiana, 8:45. I don't even have to go into all the studies that say that our children need to sleep more, and starting later at a later time allows their brains to develop. So allowing our elementary school kids to sleep in a little bit longer alleviates that also. But staggering a half an hour allows the traffic to flow up before and after school because your starting time is different. The other thing is that it also helps with our bus problem. We have a shortage of buses. When you stagger the start time, instead of all the buses picking all the schools up at the same time, that half an hour allows the buses more time to come back and pick up students. And then you're using less buses and bus drivers that we don't have already to get our students to and from school on Lahaina Road. The other thing I'm going to ask is that at Lahaina High School, you start a firefighting class in the CTE program. I don't know if all of you understand that, but CTE works with our students and helps them develop careers. Our firefighters are short and they've experienced a lot of trauma. Our county needs to work with having volunteer firefighters in our communities. why not start at the grassroots and allow our students from an early, from high school, be able to develop those kind of skills, to be able to help our community and to be able to help their own communities that they move into. I'm gonna ask that the DOE purchase large water tanks with those water guns on them and shoot those areas down around the school to prevent the fires from being around the school, especially during the summers and during the dry season, in order to prevent that from happening. I also saw that they are having funds available for planting native plants. If the Department of Education can apply for some of those grants and allow our CTE at Lahaina Luna High School to plant native plants around our schools so that it helps to have green plants, native plants, but then also making sure those plants are watered and taken care of so that you have a barrier that helps to protect our schools with native plants. And using those water guns to shoot those plants so that they actually get watered so that they are helping to prevent fires in our school. I know this has nothing to do with you, but as somebody who's lost their home and living in a hotel, it would be so much easier if all of us were in the same area, in the same hotels that have washer and dryers, kitchens. There are lots of hotel rooms in Lahaina that have those capabilities, but it would be nice for all of us to be in those same complexes together so that the resources that are needed for our keiki are given to those specific places instead of spread out over 40 different hotels. A lot of the nonprofits are coming in and doing activities with their keiki, but they have to go to 40 different hotels. If you could just possibly, FEMA or whoever, put us all in, hotels that have washers and dryers and kitchens and be able to have all our services there, their FEMA, your Red Cross, mental health things, any of the nonprofits that are coming in, instead of going to 40 different hotels, we're all in one, either several hotels that are back-to-back close together so that we can service our keiki. Many people are like, I can't even help my keiki because I'm traumatized as a parent, right? How do you expect parents to help their keiki when they're just as traumatized as everybody else? So to be able to have those services available in those areas, and we're not spread out all over the place, so that our keiki can not only interact with their peers at school, but even in the hotels, that they're able to see them. Last night, Mulani Chapo came to our hotel and did a wonderful job doing ice cream and activities for our kids, and it just allowed them to be themselves and to be with others. And that's the kind of healing that needs to take place. But it's easier for these nonprofits to service our people if we're in locations that are closer in proximity to each other instead of spread out all over the place. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Barbara, for sharing. Thank you so much for that. It was very comprehensive. And please, if we could focus on schools, because our committee work is specific to schools. And we want to be flexible with how we run the meeting. And so we're going to say, please keep it under 4 minutes. We have Councilmember Paulton up next, so she can model how to do that. She's an expert. And please keep the comments to 4 minutes. And then if you have more to share, please come back up at the end, because what we want to do is to get as much community feedback from West Maui as possible. So we'll take 2 more in person, and then we'll start on the Zoom. So please have your hands up and be prepared to go here after the next 2 community members share their thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Co-Chair Woodson. I wanted to start off by saying that I completely agree 100% with everything that Akalana had said. Also, thank you folks for making time to come out here and hear from people directly. And thank you for your work to open up the schools in West Maui. I agree that that's something that our kids need. They need to be together in West Maui, and school. However, when I got my experience as a parent of 2 young children, when I got the email this morning about the schools reopening, I called the number on the email, and my questions were, what is the evacuation plan? Have the hydrants, fire hydrants been tested that the water flow pressure is found to be sufficient for the square footage of each school? And the person didn't know the answer. They gave me a number to the facilities district, who transferred me to the Maui transportation, and nobody answered that phone, and so I just left a message. But one of the big concerns is if there's a major car accident or fire at Puialua and Lahaina Luna Road, that's gonna block the escape for all the public schools, Princess Nahiana and Lahaina Intermediate and Lahaina Luna High School. And so the person on the phone initially was just saying that a safety plan was being developed, but I think in addition to the safety plan, we need an evacuation plan, and it needs to be coordinated with the parents, the faculty, the police, the fire, NEMA, because we already seen what happens when it's not coordinated like that. The other thing, we had a committee meeting yesterday, and one of the big asks was that the Kulukaupuni o Lahaina be allowed their own campus. Antimakalapua Kanuha shared with me that they're working with Nordic PCL and Maui Land and Pine to build a facility on the community garden land above Maui Land and Pine as a temporary site that could possibly be moved later on to Kamehameha School site. And I just would ask that you folks allow that. I also got what she had said about the children. Boys and Girls Club is stretched thin. They moved their programs from the Pili Park to the Hyatt, but there's so many more hotels that need that kind of service. It's not just about DOE schooling, it's about after school care, it's about preschools, it's about early like baby and infant and toddler care. So this is just one piece of the puzzle, and thank you for working on it.
Thank you, President. And may we please have the timer person, and you folks are doing excellent, but we just want to make sure that we give everyone time, and it looks like we're going to be able to continue to rotate through, so thank you.
Are they able to ask them questions and make clarification?
So thank you for that. So at the end, actually, if you share your please stay till the end, if you can, because if the working group members have questions that need to be clarified, we need to make sure that we're receiving your information correctly, that we're hearing things correctly, and so please, if you can, stick around or leave your contact information, and then that way, if we need to ask clarifying questions thereafter, we'll be able to do that.
Good morning. My name is Tonaka Lolesio, principal of Sacred Heart School, located in the heart of the historical district of Lahaina. First and foremost, my thoughts and prayers go out to my Lahaina community schools, King Kamehameha Third School, Princess Nahiana, and Lahaina Intermediate Lahaina High School. I am an alumni of public schools here in Lahaina. I also serve as a member of the Commission on Youth and Children of the County of Maui. Sacred Heart School has been serving West Maui since 1862 and is no stranger to devastation and destruction. In 1948, we sustained severe storm damage. In 1971, the classrooms to the north of our school were destroyed in an arson fire. In 2022, State Representative and Sacred Heart School graduate, Angus McKelvey, represented the Hawaii State Legislature in recognizing our school's ability to persevere through intense obstacles and continue to provide faith-based education to the children of West Maui at our 160th anniversary. Yet about 150 years earlier in 1873, the Hawaiian Kingdom Board of Education recognized that the government union school could not meet the present need in Lahaina. It authorized government funds to support the humble beginnings of Sacred Heart School. August 8th, 2023, a day forever etched into my mind, heart, and soul. The Lahaina wildfires destroyed our preschool buildings, convent, hall, 5th, 6th, 7th, kindergarten, junior kindergarten classrooms, administration buildings, maintenance facility, and playground structures. 2 weeks later, on August 28th, Sacred Heart School Lahaina welcomed students back at the Sacred Heart's Mission Church, right here in Kapalua. The faculty and staff have been inspirational and remarkable in carrying out their vocation despite the constraints of a makeshift classroom. While we are limited in space, we have provided some sense of normalcy and stability to over 200 West Maui students. More than half are from our 4 Lahaina schools that have closed. We have been blessed with the generosity of those who support our efforts to return and keep students in school during these initial phases of recovery. Returning to Sacred Heart School Lahaina will take at least 2 years, maximum 5 years. Sacred Heart School is in immediate need of funding, which may seem like a complex request, nearly impossible. Still, history tells us otherwise. And given our alarming situation, and in the words of St. Mary Ann, nothing is impossible. There are ways that lead to everything, especially when it comes to our children's academic, developmental, physical, spiritual, and social emotional needs. Therefore, I ask, will you please expand or extend school choice to private schools? We must include our children and youth in our healing and rebuilding of Lahaina. They are a hope for the future of our town and community, to carry on and share our legacy, history, and traditions. Mahalo and God bless you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And so we're going to go with the next individual here in person, and then thereafter we're going to go to Zoom and have Susan go first, and then Manuel thereafter.
Hi, my name is John Carty. I'm a father here in West Maui, and thank you for coming into our community to have this meeting. So, I am grateful for your guys' information you're sharing, particularly you, Mr. Hayashi, regarding air quality. Mr. Woodson, you mentioned that this is an opportunity for improvement, so I have specific suggestions on how to provide more information to us regarding your testing that you're doing. We need more information to make us feel more comfortable about sending our children down into the zone where air quality is very much a question. The information that you're providing so far is not adequate enough to just check that off the list and move on. So what we're asking for is when you provide, so thank you for providing the Hawaiian Public Schools.org. That website is a good first step for reporting your findings. What we need to know is, what are you testing for? Because currently the way that you're reporting, maybe there's more information, but the way that you're reporting it makes it look like it's only reporting smoke particulate in the air. So we need to know about the poisons that could be in the air. We need to know who the organizations are that are doing your testing so that we can do our own qualitative assessment of them. We need to know what your plan is. So the air quality, let's say the air quality right now is good, but what is your plan for when all the machines are down there stirring it all up? What happens on a Kona day when the machines are down there working and brings all that air up to our schools? The soil report that you have on your website is dated from November 2022. So this is being used as evidence that the soil is clean. That could be a typographical error, I don't know.
3 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you, Doc. So the superintendent has to leave, and we already worked it out to where, he has to catch a flight to make it back to his other obligation, so he's going to leave. But Deputy Director Dr. Chung is going to stay, A.S. Armstrong is going to stay, Principal's going to stay, Cass is going to stay, and other DOE are going to stay. And just so everyone knows, they are always together. They work cohesively as a singular unit. And so them staying back is the same as the soup being here, but the soup does have to go back. He had to break away to be here with us today, and we're grateful for that. But he has to catch a flight, so that's spirited. And now we're going to go to Susan via Zoom. So,
can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Thank you. Good morning. I don't see many chairs filled up. I hope there's a lot of people out there to testify today, as you all have taken your time to fly over and hold an in-person meeting with our families. Getting on to business, the gentleman that just testified is right on. First of all, the water labs on the Department of Water Supply Maui website are not up to date. Plus, they do not break down areas enough to show that each of the schools were tested. So let me say that I do know that the fire hydrants were flushed and tested. What hasn't happened, unless it's out of my radar, is that all the pipes into the schools, I'm not talking about houses right now, but into the schools need to be flushed by Board of Water Supply at a volume and velocity to ensure contaminants are being flushed out of the pipes and then test after. So you test before, see what's happening, and then you test after. Just because you test before and have below environmental standards, you still need to come out also. So that's my teaching for the day. The air, I agree, and the soil, we need to see the numbers. The air is a concern because if, as he said, things start getting, oops, somebody's mic is on. So as far as the website, the community website, am I still on?
Yeah.
Something happened?
We can hear you still.
Thank you. There's an assumption that everyone still has power, internet, and computer access, which is not true. And so the DOE needs to find more ways to have their messages get out there. Again, how will you evacuate the schools? Is there a written plan to include directions? Are you going to notify the EOC, MPD, MFD, and the mayor? I don't think the lessons have been learned yet, have they? And next, how are you going to inform the parents? If they evacuate, the parents need to know where they're going. You know, I testified at the August 17th Board of Education meeting. Give the Maui Council District, school district, carte blanche to set up their school system their way with no interference. They managed to set up their hubs because the government took 7 to 8 days to figure it out. For some reason, the government just, in my opinion, wants too much control. The Department of Education thinks it has the football. Nope, this is game 2. They fumbled again, and the ball was intercepted by the community again. That tells you about how well the community is organized. There's no plan yet to share the air quality if this ash starts to become disturbed. So I want to know, is there an evacuation plan if the air quality monitors over a length of time that there is bad air quality on Lahaina Luna Road at the entrance, or fire, at the entrance of Kuialua into Princess Naena School Subdivision. I know this can't be decided right now, but it can't be left to chance. It is the mayor's duty to articulate all emergency management for Maui to the BOE and to the school working group. If it hasn't been shared publicly, it's not known. It's not there. Representative Woodson and Heidi, thank you for your time. Aloha.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you for your comments. Next, please go ahead. Here in person.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Bowen. I'm a member of the community as well as a teacher at Princess Naena Elementary School. I am here to find out about safety considerations for the reopening of the Lahaina schools. I believe I've emailed everybody on this panel except for Dr. Winky and the governor, lieutenant governor, mayor, fire chief, police, because I think if you haven't been to the schools, you have no idea about the traffic. So were there to be an evacuation order with only one road, so there used to be two roads before the fire, Lahaina Luna Road from Lahaina up and the bypass. Now Lahaina Luna Road is closed, so if an evacuation order is issued, how are we going to evacuate over 1,000? I'm not sure the population, students, faculty out of that area. I think that's a huge consideration that needs to be in place before we open, so everybody knows what to do. I think that's one of the problems. The one road in and one road out for our schools is systemic in the poor planning decisions which amplify the tragedy of the fires. And you may not be aware that the first fire started at the intersection of Lahaina Luna Road and Kuialua, which is where you turn left to go to Princess. Cars are on that road waiting to drive up. So if you are dropping off your school kids or going to work, you're in a sea of traffic that is at a standstill from probably 7:15 to 8 o'clock. Something happens during that time. How does anyone get out? So the concerns or considerations, some of the staff members in the community were asking about our staggering start and end times for all 4 schools. So it used to only be 3 schools. Now we have 4, so potentially that's more traffic. Engaging traffic management. So the only traffic protocol we've ever seen out there are volunteers. Parents show up sometimes and, let people go. There's no stoplights, there's no traffic roundabouts. And then the last one would be to publish an emergency evacuation plan. So the students know, the teachers know. You're probably aware the schools are surrounded by a housing community, and the fire went north into very close to the schools. So again, had we been in session, I believe the power went out at 5:03 a.m. that day. I don't think schools were canceled until about 6 a.m. There was already a teacher at school trying to avoid the traffic who got turned around. So again, you have this tiny little area And feel free to check it out any day after October 18th, when all 4 schools will be in session, right? One way out, one way in, and now that's the bypass only, so that's gonna back up even more. So it's a real concern, I think, definitely for the students, for the teachers, for everybody who's in that very isolated area. There's no fire breaks around that could be considered, but definitely a published plan. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. And next we're going to go to Manuel for the new meetings. Manuel via Zoom.
Hello, Chair, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Woodson. Didn't you get first appointed by Governor Abercrombie?
We're gonna keep it consistent and not answer again questions in real time.
Here we go. Mr. Woodson, here we go. Aloha. Last night, after 12 hours of waiting, I testified before the Maui County Council. My heart is heavy because my dad, Uncle Les, introduced me to the Lahaina, Kahana, and Mapiti families when he was the race director of the Maui County Hawaii Canoe Racing Association in the late 70s and early 80s. Uncle Earl, Chief, and Auntie Barbara Kukaliko, Auntie Mary Helen Lindsay, with her mom, Auntie Rose Pua, and father, Uncle Edwin Ned Lindsay, Ukaya, Auntie Leimomi Ferrara, Uncle John, Auntie Kiola Lake, of Lahaina Canoe Club, Uncle George, Auntie Pua Paoa, Auntie Susie Duro, of Kahana Canoe Club, Uncle Jerry Nuestra, Uncle Moses Kiali, of Napiti Canoe Club, Uncle Abraham Snake Pagi, Ma'ayo, when I was a young man, Uncle Aimoku Pali, and Auntie Pauline Lehua, Le'eha Pali, and Uncle Pali, Waimoku's brother, who was the head chef at the Lahaina Burger. The best steak with the best view in the world. My mom took me to hula classes for my sister, Lena Ala, Hula Loyal veteran, every weekend with Kumu, Auntie Emma, Kapiolani, Farn, and Sharp, at that small building with that dizzying reflecting glass by the Wailuku Bridge at the edge of St. Anthony's School. Justin, in his press release at 11:15 yesterday, titled, quote, "Lending a Hand in Lahaina," unquote. A Federal Bureau of Investigation quotes one agent, quote, "I've never been through something like that before. Lahaina was such a vibrant, colorful place. Everything was in grayscale. Even the water was black," unquote. When FBI Honolulu's ERT deployed to Maui, Special Agent Earl Asato, whose mother grew up near Lahaina, told his 11-person team that, quote, "No one has seen to that magnitude," unquote, "what they will see in Lahaina." Justin, Jenna, I testified before the Board of Education. How are you, Ms. Chan? How's your boss? You're not here again, absent. Justin, for the record, you take my testimony at 34 minutes that day and put it into your official record because I asked the Board of Education, Chairman Haruki, to give the list of names that at the date of September 14th was 191 of active contact not yet achieved. Ms. Chan presented an update of 88 that day and then downed it to 70. 2 days ago, Superintendent Hayashi said that number is now 49. And when asked by the press, of which Ms. Kalani seemed to take offense, people fumbled, they got that number. Justin, I am requesting you and everyone on your House Working Committee to officially demand that the superintendent give those 49 names to FBI Special Agent Merrill on Oahu and Police Chief Pelletier and take it off the DOE's chest. Let them find these 44 49 names, Ms. Chan. You have enough on your plate. And if the FBI can't find it, Justin, our intelligence allies who can legally tap the U.S. residents will find those 49 names for us. You get the point, Justin? Yeah. And so I want to end with this. My mom, a school teacher, Justin, taught in Hana. Yeah? She lobbied the legislature to get funding for Olelo Hawai'i at Maui Community College. Thank you, Uncle Hinama Rodriguez. My sister, Lena Ala Puloyo Vetter, went to UH Manoa to learn Olelo Hawai'i. My grandma, Auntie Alice, taught her, but she got slapped in school for teaching Hawaiian language. When Ala came back, all the champions of Kulakaya Puni, Punana Leo, and our dear cousin from Makiana, Keiki Kawai Aipa, Akele Kuokalani in Hilo, my sister Lena Ala proudly began the Kulakaya Puni at Princess Nahianayana School. Justin, my daughter is named Ekao Onohi, the first grandchild of Kamehameha, whose father was the first child of Kamehameha and Peleuli, Kahoano Kuki Maui. Our royal Maui lineages, Justin, Miss Chan, are buried at Wainege. They were obliterated. Kiopuolani, Eliha, Kekaonohi, Unumahei Opi Kane, Kahei Malie, Opi Wahine, Ka'ahomanu, Kaumoali. The house of Kulaloya, Justin, the stone house of Kulaloya, where now the Montokuji Church resides, housed the royal children. The house of Kulaloya housed Kahei Malie upon her death. Mokohula, Mokuhinia, Ki Hawai'i, it is no mere coincidence. Uncle Nainoa, Okulea, and the PVS are coming home, Justin. You need to find these 49 kids, and I'm putting it on your chest, on your shoulder today. I love you, Miss Chan. I knew in Oyado Mali when I worked for VAE Systems. I don't have that's the system. She was beautiful. God bless. And to my brother, veteran and doctorate, Elijah, thank you, sir, for responding to my emails to you. I love you.
Thank you, Manny. Good to hear from you. Next, we have the gentleman. Please come on. Oh, I'm sorry. Please come on.
Hello, my name is Sonia Chambliss Alexander. I am a parent of a second grader and a eighth grader. My little man was in Camp Third at the time, and my daughter was in Maui Preparatory Academy, and my son was able to get one of the sought-after spaces to join them at Maui Prep. And I just want to take the time to just say that it was so huge for us as parents to have our kids in school, that I spent every moment after that advocating for my fellow folks to have that opportunity, because I felt relief to know that my kids were in a supportive environment. So I'm also a mental health counselor, and I have advocated very much for the necessity of community, because community heals, community heals, community heals, and I cannot say that enough. I had the most amazing blessing of an experience to go to the high school yesterday and speak to several classes for over an hour and do trauma therapy with those kids. And it was just amazing to see how they responded, to see how they showed up, to see how they cried. They're hurting, they're hurting. So I hear you guys saying that you have counseling available. I'm telling you, all of the parents are telling me it's not working out. I call, they call me back, and they give me someone in Oahu. They can't see me, they can't take my kid, they don't work with my issue, they're not getting the help. So I don't know where the missing piece is between we're offering mental health services and the parents getting them, but it's not working. So I'm just asking you guys to look further into that. and to try to make it like I mean no disrespect, but say and follow through, check them out yourself. You know, call a counselor and say, I have a kid looking for counseling, is it available? So the other thing, I'm going to try to just be quick because some of these other have been, I agree with the evacuation plan. So we need to take care of the hearts and minds of our parents. They are scared to death, right? We've got a plan, does not work for them. We need a plan. We need to know what the plan is. They need to look at the plan. They need to see if the plan works for them. These parents who sat on that hill, you're putting a fourth set of kids on a hill that is known for traffic, and all the ingress and egress ways in and out before are not available to these families. They're going, we want our kids in school, but we do not want to have to pick between the safety of our children and our kids being in school. So plow some roads behind the campus, make temporary evacuation, do whatever you guys need to do in order to show ahead of time, and not the day before these kids go to school, ahead of time what the plan is. So that the parents can breathe deeply and feel comfortable. There needs to be evacuation plans that certain schools will be sent to this place to pick up your kids. If you're in this grade, the schools will be sent on this bus to that place to pick up your kids. If you need to be evacuated from the school, these parents need to know ahead of time so a scared parent is not rushing to the school to create a traffic jam, right, on the hill, because they're terrified. And we are not smart as parents when we're terrified, and we're mean and we're selfish and we're going to go get our kid. And we're not going to think about the greater impact we may be having on the traffic. So we need a plan, and we need to know where we're going to go when our kids are in a situation. We need to know the plan ahead of time, what's going to happen if the wind gets kicked up, because the parents, thank you, our parents are scared of the wind, understandably so. We need a plan in place for keeping the learning hubs possibly open for the parents who do not want to send their kids, okay? Who do not want to send their kids, maybe the teachers who don't want to go because they're scared of the air quality. Maybe we keep the learning hub open for a little while, at least to see if that's an option for them. We need to have an ongoing option for teachers to take extended leave who do not feel ready to go into those classrooms with those children, because it is a very demanding job in the best of mind spaces, and we need our teachers to feel ready. They can have, I'm a mental health professional, have them evaluated by a mental health professional so it's not taken advantage of, but they need an opportunity to not have to go into the classroom if it's too scary for them. So, am I at 4 minutes? Okay. Police and National Guard to assist every single day with traffic. Okay, we need ways at all of the stops, down by coming up the hill by Safeway, coming onto the bypass, on the hill. We need constant traffic support so that we're not creating a problem and having to clear it at the time. We need constant traffic support in order for parents to get on and off the hill. Please send out a survey ahead of time before you tell us what you're going to do with our children. That was very, very hurtful, very, very scary, and very, very disrespectful to many of us parents. And we said, so this is what you're going to do. Please involve us ahead of time. Do not tell us what the plan is and then say agree or not agree. Please ask us what our opinion is ahead of time so that we can use all of the expertise we have in the community, which is a lot, to give you guys information. That will be really helpful. This first person who spoke, I was like, wow, she's awesome. So we have a lot of really good information from living in this community, what's really going to be helpful. And I know you guys said you're doing social emotional learning on the campuses, but please make it a real thing, right? These kids are not going to come ask you for help. I'm a trauma therapist. They're not going to ask you for help, okay? They're not going to say I'm hurt unless they're in really, really bad shape. You need to go to them and you need to say, we're here for you, and we're going to do ongoing things throughout the campuses to encourage them to speak up or stare at you, whatever it is, but you need to offer the opportunity ongoing. Thank you.
Please go ahead.
My name is Mike Whitehead. I'm a resident. I graduated in Luna 84. Auntie Lori Gomez was a teacher up there, and I believe it was from the 70s until just recently. She's always been affiliated with the Maui program. Like I told them yesterday at the Hawaii County Council meeting, I think I just went over for just a little over 4 minutes. I'm trying to be respectful, but what happened in Lahaina is not typical. Asking us to sum up our frustrations and our ideas in 3 minutes or 4 minutes should be eliminated. If somebody needs to be here for 5 or 6, let them be here. Let them speak. Because we just went through hell. And just like Manny said, it looked like a war zone down there. And we're still all trying to get a grip on this. Mr. Hayashi leaving with his, whoever that was, that's a bad look. I'll just give you some advice right now. He shouldn't show up if he's gonna bail. It's just what Josh Green did on one of those meetings in Oahu, where luckily our locals found out and was able to attend, but he bailed just like he did because they didn't want to listen to it. I don't know. I'm just saying it's a bad look. I'm speaking here. It's a bad look. If he's not gonna stay for the whole meeting, then he shouldn't show up. That would be best because we don't see it, right? It looks like he don't care. I'm just telling you how I feel. I don't this is not textbook. Representation, DOE, I think all of you are from Oahu. Why isn't there anybody from West Maui on there? Why isn't there anybody from Maui? Are you from Maui? Okay, then somebody should be speaking up. I'm thinking, I don't know, when you guys got to the school, why we had the kids go to school in Kihei in the first place. Somebody should have had PWC up there immediately cleaning all the schools. I know it was PWC because I know people that work for PWC. They're up there cleaning the schools. I thought that was a good sign that we're bringing them back. Why were only 200 kids enlisted into the distance learning for Lahaina Luna? I mean, we had distance learning for everybody during COVID. I mean, the government does whatever they want during COVID, but we're just gonna let 200 go, force the other kids. You know how traumatic that is? I mean, you've just been listening to it. The fact that they're coming back is great. It's awesome for them to be in their hometown, regardless that it looks like a war zone. This is where they want to be. This is where they should be, close to their families. Because there's only one way out, in and out of Lahaina Luna. Evacuation drills. The fact that you guys don't know if anybody's been doing quarterly fire drills or evac drills or twice a year for evac drills is actually mind-numbing, because I thought that would be a normal for every school. When I was going through school, I remember doing fire drills. I can't remember how often because that was a long time ago, but why aren't these schools be held accountable for having fire drills, having logs of those fire drills that you guys can look at? We need somebody to be watching over that stuff. We don't need government overreach. We need somebody looking at these things. As for flushing water, we don't need the Board of Water Supply. They're too slow. You could have anybody who works at Lahaina Luna High School going into each bathroom, anywhere there's an open spigot or faucet, flush the hot water for 10 minutes, flush the cold water for 10 minutes. There's a company called PAFCON in Chicago. Somebody could call out, unless you guys got your own water testing, send the water out for sampling, send it out for tests. McCampbell Analytical in California does deeper water tests. Metals. We just went through a lot of that. That's where I'm speaking from experience, because we're going through that right now with some of our places. Eminent domain. We all need an evacuation route, yet nobody wants to tap into that open field right next to the school. Right above the stadium, there's roads going out. Telling me the Army Corps of Engineers can put up a school in 95 days, yet we can't get a road put up there in 30. Pave it out. Take it down to the bypass that is right there right now. You could create 2 or 3 roads. So everybody go up versus coming down. It's that simple, unless we want to make it complicated because West Maui land owned the land. Camp Third, 20 years, as she was talking about, the one lady, she's been on that board. Why didn't we relocate it? Lahaina is a forgotten in the state of Hawaii, on the county of Maui. We've been watching with a blind eye, turning our heads as everything has been given to the rich and the locals are enforced to squeeze in or move out. The proof is at the Cliff House right now. Whose name is on the permit? Who signed off on the final inspection? That is an illegal build. That house was torn, that Cliff House was torn down and put back up on the rocks, on the ocean. They're carving into the mountain. These are examples of why the school wasn't moved. 30 or 40 years for the bypass. I was listening to that in the late 80s. It just got completed. Why did it take so long? And oh my God, it doesn't even drain. So when we get heavy rains, it floods. So we're driving around large pools of water. So it was a bad design. Just glad we got it. but it was a bad design. So obviously some people aren't doing their job to the fullest and serving the community that they're for. Why haven't we got a hospital? Another reason why we're forgotten. They talked about a hospital in West Maui for how long, but we don't get it. I'm bringing this up because I'm hoping it sparks one of you to maybe step out of your zone and speak up for West Maui, because nobody's representing us. We have, but the voice isn't big enough. So the more people who get sparked to represent or say something for us might be able to change things and help change things in West Maui. One way out of Lahaina. That's something that seems to boggle everybody's mind, but nobody can figure that out. While the Maui County Council meeting was going on, they closed both sides of the road because of a fire out by the Olowalu Dam. Again, we're stuck. Nobody wants to figure that out, because West Maui land owns all the land. I'm gonna end. I have a lot of other points, but I'll go ahead and end it. What happened? Well, let me get one more point. I want to thank the locals near and far, some of them in the back, that stepped up when the government did it immediately after, the day after the fire, to help a lot of us and myself that was trying to wrap their head around what had just happened to our town, yet they had the strength to do it. So I want to say thank you to all of them, because the government, again, moved too slow, takes too long. Ms. Lincoln yesterday made a good point. Zone 1, I was in Zone 1, lost everything. We cleared it out, we looked, we got. If we give approval, why can't the Army Corps of Engineers bring over and start clearing the land so people can start building? So zones cleared. Why does all of Lahaina need to be cleared before we start building? We don't have 2 or 3 years. Mortgages have got to be paid. Somebody's already getting a call from their bank. Somebody testified yesterday. Not my president sent, Rand Paul said the total right now sent to Ukraine was $113 billion. The insured loss of Lahaina was 3.2. Now my president wants to send another 24 billion over there. So if you go 3.2, round it up to 3.7, maybe 4 billion, you could pay off everybody's mortgage. Because you know what, as the 2 people said, the trauma person and whoever up there was on there, the trauma is real. Recovering from just a house fire, 6 to 12 months with treatment. Now some may go quicker, some could take longer. But what are we going to force our kids when we open up October 8th to have to deal with this and deal with their parents if they're stressing out because we're opening up? We're all dealing with financial problems because a lot of people are out of work. I've been fortunate, I've been still working, I'm still able to pay my bills, but most of Lahaina isn't. Where's the relief? Why isn't anybody telling the president, send $4 billion this way? If you can't get the banks to lay off and take 12 months of mortgage and put it on the back for all these homeowners who lost their homes and people who lost their jobs, then pay it all off. What's $4 billion when you've sent 113, or if you Google it, it's 75 billion. That's still a ton of money. You could pay off everybody's mortgage in Lahaina so everybody could be financially free to breathe and get their minds straight before we open up.
Thank you
I'm hoping somebody here will be sparked to help say something. I've spoken with Elijah. I'm hoping somebody else will speak up for West Maui. And then the last thing I'm going to end with, we all in Lahaina believe this was a planned and choreographed event to land grab Lahaina. I need to make that known. This is a legal meeting. This is where it needs to be said. It was said yesterday, I said it. I'm saying it again. This was planned and choreographed for a land grab. I don't expect you guys to believe that. That's what we believe. We need help. We need assistance, not overreach. Sorry, just gotta go flustered there.
Thank you so much for your testimony.
But thank you for listening. Thank you for being. But again, I recommend if you're not gonna stay for the whole meeting, then don't. You guys need my contact information. Elijah has it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And again, we're going to just keep being fluid, and so if there's lines, then we're gonna keep it to 4 minutes. If there's not lines, then people can obviously keep speaking. And so we just want to. Our goal is to collect as much information as we can as possible. So we just want to maximize the learning segment. Thank you for the next testifier. And then after that, we will go to TIFF via Zoom.
Good morning, Maui. My name is Heidi, and I'm 14 years old. I'm from Maui, even I don't really look like it. I want to ask you for together. We are all Hawaiians. Together wins. I have friends all over the world, literally. The world is watching us. Hawaii is the heart of the earth. What a beautiful time to be alive. Speaking for the children, we demand good education, safe education, and education in person, not online. We ask for a safe school. Our health is number one. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Heidi. Speaker, ready for the meeting? Next, we're going to go to Tiff online.
Aloha. Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you guys hear me out there?
Yeah. Yes.
We can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, I'm in bad communication over here. Anyways, I'm one of the makua from my keikis and Kulakai Punini and Papa Kate. The frustration that we have is we are constantly being ignored from the Department of Education and the Board of Education, and I was one of the testifiers on September 18th. Moving forward, as far as Lahaina's, the schools are concerned, we want our kids to go back to campus. They need to go back to campus, but I'm not comfortable sending my son up there, and there's many other parents that I have talked to. When you're born and raised in one town, you know everybody that's from here, really from here. So I know for the majority of many people that I have spoke to, they're afraid, just like I am, because we don't know. It's like you guys are telling us you guys tested this and tested that. That gentleman that testified earlier about the water and about how, you know, there's different things or more steps that he felt you guys need to take as far as testing it, I 100,000% agree on that. You guys are not from here. None of you guys are, actually. And I mean born and raised in Lahaina. When the winds of Kaua'ula come, they go back and forth. They can come, the winds of Kaua'ula can come down from the mountain straight down, and they can come from the ocean. That fire that happened up at Lahaina High School in that area that burned really close to the solars was just like last year, like the beginning of this year. That fire was moving up to the L. It almost got to the L, actually. It did reach the L, it just didn't destroy it. I was watching that whole fire from my house. The whole fire was moving up Mount Hill like that. So imagine, and that's not a weird thing for the wind to be like that. It's not weird at all. Actually, it's pretty normal. So what I'm saying is all of that toxicity that's down in town, just right below, or even in the neighborhoods, right below the schools, when the wind kicks up and it comes mouth up, right? What about that? What about the toxicity down there, or the poisons that is in the soil, it's in the paint, it's everywhere, because a lot of these homes were old and, you know, has asbestos in it, that's facts. I mean, asbestos is in town. What about all of that kind of stuff, right? So when I was reading something, it said that even though the air is clean, it doesn't mean that, you know, a kick-up of some kind of poison is not possible coming from another area, which then is going to affect all of the kids, all of the kumu, everybody that's going to be in that area. And I mean everybody that's still living up Kilauea Mauka. So what about that? I feel like this is not well thought out as far as, you know, you guys tell us, oh, the kids are going to go back to school on this day, right? I mean, I think I was just this morning when I got that email. And it's like, okay, wait, what? Because how is this possible? How is this a thing? How is this okay to rush that, right? Because who? Why? Because the governor? Because the mayor? So another thing is the evacuation. right? Now, what that teacher was telling you, coming from Nahiana, she is correct on that. Now, like I said, none of you guys know what it's like. We live 3 minutes away from the school. I have to leave my house at 6:45 in the morning to make sure that my son is on campus by 7. Because if you get on that road, on the Honolulu Road, after 7:10, it takes 40 minutes to get up there and back, to go less than a mile up the street because of traffic. And that's for 3 schools. Now you guys are going to bring Kamehameha III campus up there, right? Which is going to be a whole nother school. That's like hundreds of kids extra, right? Well, there is no plan if you guys have only that one road coming down the bypass to go in and out. I mean, what is going on? Okay, so something else happens, which is, it's inevitable, obviously, because of all the dry brush that's still around everywhere. If something else dangerous was to happen, what are we supposed to do? And that, with that Kumu, when she was saying, I don't know. I don't know. I know people are coming up with ideas. Maybe we can do this. Maybe the National Guard this, da, 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 da. That one lady, it's like, okay, well, the National Guard, if they were to be up there, I don't know how they would help the traffic. I don't know how they would help the traffic at all, actually, because their road is so skinny already. I don't even know if they would fit on that road. So I don't feel like there is a solution right now. I feel like it's poorly thought out, and that you guys really need to dig into a more safer, sensible plan for us to risk our children being in an area that's not safe or safe to come out of right now, if something should happen. I mean, that's why you're here, right? So people are talking, people are letting you know. Listen to us, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiff. We're going to discontinue the timer for now because we don't have a line. Is there anyone else that wants to offer comments? Oh, this is the line. Sorry. Okay. All right, never mind. We have a line. Please.
Aloha, my name is Gretchen Lozano. I'm a makua at both Princess Nahiana and Lahaina Intermediate. My keiki are in Kulakaiapuni, so I'm definitely in full support of Kaiapuni having their own campus. I also work on the campuses. So I personally will be there, but I want to kaka'o what Tiff just said about the air quality control. I have access to the lead toxicologist from the Department of Health because I work with him often. So early on we had a lot of really comprehensive conversations about air quality monitoring and control, and I told him about these kaua'ula winds because from about 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., which is like the main school time, that wind does switch and it goes from Makai to Mauka. So once that construction starts or once that the excavation starts, we really need in real time air quality monitors up there, and they need to be accessible by the parents. There needs to be a website where we can check it personally, so we can, we're going to be dropping our kids off or having them take the bus super early in the morning before those winds switch. But it's really important that we, as Makua, could feel comfortable sending our kids to school that day. If we know that there's wind coming, extra wind coming, we can look at this website, we can check it ourselves, and there can be, not everybody's all up on the science of all this stuff. So it needs to be understandable by Makua who are not scientists, right? And that's super, super important. The second thing that is also really important is the mental health practices that are going to be happening at the schools. Have you guys employed a lot of people that are going to be on site for that are mental health care professionals that are going to be on site, accessible to almost every classroom? I mean, you have to be really trauma informed already to know how to go and ask for help. Like Sonia was saying, a lot of kids don't even know how to go ask for help. A lot of kumu don't even know how to go ask for help because the trauma response is to get back to work really hard. I have, we lost our home 5 years ago in a flood, and I was not very trauma informed. And 5 years down the road, I am recognizing the ways in which I as a makua may have failed my own children in understanding the signs of trauma and helping them deal with the traumas that they may have incurred as a result of us losing our home and us just trying to keep moving forward and then acting like stuff is normal and not dealing with it. So it's really crucial, and it's also really crucial that it's culturally appropriate and sensitive. We have a lot of different cultures that go to these Lahaina schools, and with these Western psychologists, that might not be translating very well with a lot of the kids, a lot of the Hawaiian kids, the Mexican kids. That's not culturally appropriate. And I want to know this plan so that we can make sure that our kumu are taken care of emotionally on site, in real time, so they don't have to go seek out. What Sonia was saying, it's hard to go and ask for help sometimes. And, I had to get a little bit of counseling. It didn't really work that well. It wasn't very helpful. It's hard to get appointments. And with the amount of people that actually need emotional support, trauma support right now, it's we need a really comprehensive plan for that. I was recently able to visit a really trauma-informed community, and they had kupuna in every classroom. Every single classroom had a kupuna that came. And I don't know if that's possible for us, but as we heal as a community, that might be one idea for us to open up the spaces for the keiki feeling comfortable talking about trauma. I don't know if that's possible, but anyway, thank you guys for being here and listening.
Thank you. I'm going to let this a little bit. Hi, my name is Cole Nielsen. I'm a teacher at Maui Prep up the road up here. I also went to Kamehameha 3rd, LIS, and Laguna my freshman year before transferring to Maui Prep. I can testify personally that the traffic on that road is abhorrent. It could take 45 minutes up to that time for students to leave schools at either Princess, LIS, or Luna. And that was prior to the closure of the road. Now, my questions are regarding the ongoing air quality tests, and the water tests, and soil tests. As of September 12th, the last release by DOH, benzene air quality levels were not available on Luna campus, LIS, or Princess. In fact, they were excluded specifically from the release documents, which is available on the DOH website. It states not available or testing in progress. That information still has not been released. Now, we were told that the air quality levels, water levels are of an acceptable level, but what an acceptable level is was not defined. Everyone here has spoken about how looking for more clear descriptions of the ongoing air quality, and that is necessary. With the winds shifting down the mountain, up it is very necessary for live, ongoing tests to be done, and as well on the soil water as well. Soil testing was done in November of 2022. We don't have an updated test for that. Water testing should be done ongoing in the sense that these toxins can seep into the groundwater below the school, and that any water test done within the last month maybe could be different than ones done in 2 months or 3 months. So all these should be ongoing programs. But what we really have to start with is the salaries for our teachers. Right now, our teachers at the DOE schools here, not Maui Prep, but this is the public schools here, these teachers, they are the ones responsible for educating our keiki, the majority of them, at least. And if you want to draw in quality educators, you need to pay the salaries of quality educators. Many of the teachers here lost their homes, lost family members, and how can they be prepared to deal with the stress of educating the youth when they have to deal with the stress of paying a mortgage and a rent? Insurance isn't covering everything. And the teachers across the U.S. as a whole have always been underpaid and undervalued. And the salary for a teacher is no higher in Hawaii than it is in New York or Ohio or Utah or whatever. But the cost of living here is much higher. And we expect our teachers to teach our students, to teach our kids on the cents that they are paid. They work second jobs, third jobs. I don't know if any of you have ever worked 3 jobs at one time, but to work 3 jobs at one time, it's really hard to give your all to the students you're supposed to teach. And we trust them to give their all to the students. But they do not have the ability to give their all because they have to give 20 hours at another job just to afford their rent or their mortgage. And now, with this tragedy, that's just been made worse. And so, one great start I'd ask that haven't covered here is pay the teachers more. Lead the charge in the country as a whole to push and say that we want to value education. And that starts with drawing in good quality educators and for them to feel as though they are valued. Thank you.
Oh, right.
3 minutes starts now.
Yeah, you better be kidding.
I'm kidding.
Oh yeah, okay. Thank you guys for coming. We're gonna jump on a plane and go over there, talk to you guys. Yeah. And I'll probably nice, because you're gonna hear it now. Yeah. Oh, bro. Lahaina luna. I'm gonna swear about it better not. You guys disrespect Lahaina luna, choke. Yeah, you know when you guys didn't put air conditioning and that, all the schools like that? Lahaina luna now, we get them. Gonna be in our water quality for years. You run the water, mud come out, dirt come out. You guys never feel some. This is years. And you guys never hear nothing. You guys never listen. Okay? The boarding department, I don't know why you guys like get rid of them. Every time we gotta stand on the side of the road and say, oh yeah, I swear again, but better not. You guys want to foreclose them? Okay? I don't know why. There's plenty of history behind that bond. I mean, a lot of my friends from all over that were boarding, you know, they came to Lahaina Luna. They gain a lot of knowledge of how to take care of themselves, not just the numbers, life skills. Okay? Oh, and then now the boarding department, you're making them lazy. Before they gotta go clean the yard, they gotta clean the campus, free labor, yes sir. But you gotta tell me us, we're looking to have them go do that kind of stuff. Yeah, your education, you don't pay attention. And then yeah, all you representatives, yeah, you from Maui, yeah, Justin. Everybody else not from Maui, yeah. Where is ours? Yeah, but it's not the representative, so stop talking. Yeah, not talking to you. Okay, so now you see, make me lost. Where's our representative? Where's the Lahaina representative that know about the roads and the traffic and everything that we gotta go through and live? We gotta explain them to you guys. When you guys go talk to Eli Cochran, yeah? Or even Angus McKelvey, same building you must stay in. Go talk sorry. You guys are real lucky I lost. Because I ran for House Representative against Eli Cochran. You guys damn lucky I lost. Because I would have knocked down you guys' door if you guys never opened them. I would have slept in front of your office if you guys never opened them. You're lucky, yeah? I get so much things I want to put on. I ran because you guys suck. Yeah? Lahaina is one or two top dollar tax generator in the whole state. We only compete with Waikiki. But we get nothing. Yeah? All our wires are above ground. Our water suck. Yeah? No more in the fire hydrants. Our parks suck. You guys know, hey, that guy, the state highway guy, he said to my representatives, he's not even thinking of extending the bypass. But you guys stupid enough to fund the damn rail. Now you guys just been create one funnel down Calvary Street. You guys not thinking, you guys not listening to Lahaina. When we the top generating guys, taxpayers. Go look them. I know. Go look them. Listen to us. We've been talking and talking and talking. Woo, but you baga, no go inside here. Yeah? Serious. You gotta talk about doing things without us guys knowing about them. Getting the input from the Lahaina people before you guys do this kind of stupid thing like the governor. So like we open on October 8th. Yeah? When we're not ready. Our council heard them, so you guys don't hear them. The state won't hear them now. Okay? I went to Honolulu to try to talk to Stupid Green. But he came to Maui, to Ritz. We have one special meeting with 200 business people. Lucky Sylvia Lupin let me in and go talk to her. She sat down with me and a bunch of Honolulu activists. Yeah? How we making noise, gang. You guys gotta listen to us. Put some money into Lahaina. We're tired of saying that it's too expensive. We're tired of hearing no more money. We generate a lot of tax dollars Lahaina people. You know why? Yeah, it's tourism. But who gonna put up with tourism? Not you guys. Not even you, Justin, the Maui guy. We, the locals, gotta put up with their dumb attitude. Yeah? Money. They're entitled. They think they're entitled. We gotta deal with them. We have to fight long and hard to get the 2 beaches will not become commercialized. We're gonna fight long and hard to make sure Malawar does not get decommercialized. Okay? Listen to us, gang. Okay? Thank you guys for being here. But good for you guys. You guys don't get scolding from that. Hey, you get some more guys who scold you guys too. Because we're ready. We're ready. Please listen to us. Because, oh yeah, my email, juniornakoa.gmail. You guys get them. Because I email you guys. You guys just don't listen. Yeah, shoot.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jake Kane. I have 20 employees on the west side, and they're all working right now, so I'm here to kind of ask some questions that they have. Yeah, everything that everyone brought up already. Air quality when the wind changes, and the monitors read unacceptable levels in real time. What's the plan? Okay, answer that, please. Right now, we have a huge burden on my employees, logistically. Everyone's displaced, people living on the other side, and sending their kids to multiple different schools all over the place. So they arrive late to work. They gotta leave early to accommodate. So it's just a huge burden right now. So just bringing that to your attention. COVID is purported to be on the rise. Distance learning is not acceptable. It doesn't work. It's not good for our kids. They need to be in community for other obvious mental health reasons that are stated. And then as far as ingress, egress, the landowners, the state and the private owned land needs to have a 60+ foot fire break that's maintained. And that needs to be, like, fines follow that if they don't come into accordance. And then we go, the state owns land. I think it's Kamehameha lands all butted up against on the other side of the road there. There's already dirt roads there. Somebody needs to just pay to have gravel put in there and a route to get out. It's pretty simple. If you look at the tax map key, who you need to talk to make those happen. You can see from Google Maps already roads that are there. So, and then last thing, school choice should include public, private, homeschool options, and the money should follow the kids. During COVID, my wife started homeschooling because we lost faith in the DOE. So we've taken that on ourselves because that's our responsibility. But I mean, money should follow the kids. That's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to exceed you guys 4 minutes by far, so just letting you guys know that. Hello, good morning, gang. First of all, audience, who knew about this meeting prior to today? Raise your hand who knew about it prior to today. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Before yesterday, who knew about this meeting? Before yesterday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 people. As I talked to Representative Jenna, sorry. You guys are doing a piss poor plan at informing the communities. Piss poor. Yeah. Let me back up a little bit. My name is Jeremy Dallas Reyes. Been an educator for 22 years. Like Jake mentioned, I have no more trust in the DOE. Zero. Been there for 22 years. I started off my career at Farrington High School, went to Ryan Intermediate, and I ended it. I'm actually currently still employed, but I've been on leave because of certain issues with previous administrators. Throughout my 22 years at Lahaina Luna High School, there's never been a mandatory or planned out evacuation plan from school. There's only been a fire drill, shelter-in-place drill that has been done. And if you ask any school teacher at Lahaina Luna High School, they will tell you it's always been postponed. Always. It's not. It's supposed to be a quarterly event, but it doesn't happen. Yeah. Going along with Junior, there's no true representation of Lahaina County for all of these working groups, not just this one, but for all. So we spoke to the CEO of HICO, and the young lady stated, only been in position for 1 year, but it doesn't make sense to her for us to implement infrastructure and they have no idea about Lahaina Town. We can tell you which way the wind blows. We can tell you what time of the day the wind will shift. As an avid hunter, there's thermals. Thermals will go uphill at a certain time of day, thermals come downhill at a certain time of day. When we have corner storms, always gonna blow from the ocean up. Always gonna come from the south, southwest to Napili. Always, no matter what. When the Kaula winds hit, we all just take shelter. Yeah? So the evacuation plan for Lahaina Luna, you guys need to include wind storms. This was preventable. This was. Not just because of the power outage. But historically, I mean, everybody, you go to any meeting, ask anybody here that's from Lahaina, they can tell you about power winds. That's fact. Yeah? So now, I'm going to go all of my stuff. Whew, there's a lot of information here, guys. So the fact that Josh Green is going in and trying to open up tourism shows me that the economic powers that West Maui has over the state supersedes any place else. Per capita, we make more money than Waikiki. Per capita. We create more revenue. Why can't we take that revenue put it into infrastructure. So if we're speaking directly about schooling, let's decentralize the DOE. We need to decentralize DOE. You know how long I got to fight? 1999, the teacher prior to me requested a dust collection system. I am the shop teacher, the wood shop teacher. That shop system, that request wasn't implemented until 2005. When they implemented it, it broke down in 6 months because the design was flawed. I think they spent roughly $2 million to install that dust collection. 6 years later, they had to build another one at another cost of $1 million. What the hell kind of spending is that? SCHWG actually approved the transfer of the only functional boat in the DOE system, which I was conducting a marine maintenance program to get my kids options outside of post-secondary education. I have 5 kids that went straight to being boat captains at Lahaina Harbor. But the previous administration and I disagreed. Talked to SCHWG and she approved the removal of that campus and transferred it to another state department. I do have my Coast Guard license. I am certified 50 times. The principal at that time lied to you about my qualifications. That's part of the reason why I'm displeased with the DOE. When we're talking about safety, you guys have never tested it. But Lahaina High School, as you guys know, is one of the oldest high schools in the world. We have lead, paint still on my classroom walls. Bags will not touch wiring infrastructure because there's asbestos wrapped in there. So we want to talk about safety. Let's really talk about safety. Yeah? If we want to talk about having a secure place for kids, I agree with everybody in here. We should have kids together. But there's no fire mitigation. Like Jake said, the state owns the land, and you guys have not yet cleared any of the fuel, the wild grass. You guys haven't cleared any of that. And you guys have put kids back onto this campus. Me personally, if you guys ever take a drive up to Lahaina High School, my shop is on the top, right below the water. As I grew up here, I know where all the boat trails, where all the Hawai'i stay. Me personally, I have a plan in case something goes wrong that I gotta take my kids down into Kanaha River to keep them safe. And I'll take whatever kids is around me. But as you guys know, that campus is huge. Yeah? We have bad communication. We gotta rely on walkie-talkies. And there's only 20-something on campus. We have over 80 teachers. You want to keep kids safe. They don't need mental health. How many of you guys have ever received mental health? Right. How many of you guys started off with your best therapist is the number one, the first one you ever met? No. No. I went through 8 of them before I found one that works. Think about these kids. You guys say, oh, we give mental health for them, therapists. There is none. You guys got to actively seek them. Yeah? You guys have to pull them aside. Have a bunch of therapists sitting in front of them and they can choose. Repeatedly, multiple times they have to do interviews with these therapists. It's not going to be a perfect fit for them. Yeah? When we put the kids back into these schools, where are the teachers? So kids are going back. Well, I don't know in high school, they're going back to the cafeteria. Will be monitored with 5 other classes because no more teachers. Where are these teachers? One of the brothers said, hey, we got to pay the teachers. Yes, we got to pay the EAs too. I'll tell you guys what, CTE. I am woodshop, so I'm in the CTE department. We have 90% of our student population going through CTE classes. I have 1 special needs teacher for 750 students. 1. I have to split 1 specialist among 700 kids. How the hell are they getting proper and adequate services? ELL, special needs. I have 1 teacher. I have an average of 7 kids per class. Now granted, the rollover from administration, Richard Caruso right now currently, he was giving a sorry man, he was giving a shit. The CTE classes took the burden of that. Our average class size for CTE at Lahaina Luna is 52 kids per class. Kazwinki was aware of this, but nothing changed. I had to teach 52 kids on average with 1 EA for 1 period out of 7. How is that safe for the kids? Now you're talking about elementary and middle school. How is that safe? No, I can keep going, but I'm sorry. Because we got
Mr. Bellis, we want to hear from you. We want to hear from everyone. If you can please conclude your remarks soon, and that way we can hear from everyone on the line. And then thereafter, we want to hear your voice, but we want to give everyone
then I will talk about
time.
it, then I'm done.
Thank you.
2 more things. Okay. So real quick, right now, with DOE, you guys opening up with DOEs. Allow the kids to transfer to athletics. They never have one choice to go to Maui High School. I mean, they was forced. Yeah, their family wanted them kids in there. They want to play sports with their friends at Lahaina Luna. Allow that transfer. Because they enrolled in Kulani Hako'i or Maui High or Baldwin, and to deny them their rights to play for Lahaina Luna High School, that's horrible. That's a slap in the face. Yeah. Next, one more. Sorry, guys, but I forgot. Anyway, yes, that was it. So all of you guys, Kazwinki, you lost your house. Yeah. Okay. The rest of you guys here, as I talked to Representative Jenna. After this meeting, Dustin, you guys all going home to your loved ones. You all putting your head in your own bed. Every one of you guys, except Winky. I don't know if I'm going home right now to let out my dog saying you need victory. When Mike was talking about it, I'm that person, my second bank, then call my loan. I gotta come up with X amount of dollars, plus my mortgage, plus my rent that I cannot find on rental. You guys all going home to your beds. You guys might have sorrow thoughts, but you're not in sorrow with us. You're going to hear us and you're going to, yeah, I'm going home. Put somebody from this community on this council, on this working group, on all working groups. We need proper representation. Not just come listen to us, because you guys still going home to what you have. The majority of us here, we're going home to nothing. We're going home to one hotel that the tourists get dibs over us. We getting pushed out because the stupid ass governor said, yep, we need tourism. That's why I made that comment about the economic powers that West Maui has. Take that money, please. Fund the DOE, fund us teachers. If you really want movement, right? It's going to hurt these two guys because they're deputy superintendents. Why do we have so many deputy superintendents? Because when I look at it, it's a tough pill to swallow. I have a master's degree. I'm a qualified. I got to work 2 jobs, right? We tried to separate times in Lahaina Luna, Lahaina Intermediate, and Princess. We cannot. You know why? The number one pushback is all the teachers got to go to their 2nd and 3rd job. I tried that for 10 years. I tried to get schools, Lahaina Luna High School, to start at 8:30, just so we could end at 2:45. So that the middle school and the intermediate had more time to operate without traffic control. So with that said, my honest opinion is decentralize, have each county have their own board, have their own DOE. Yeah, then we can move, we can keep our money that we generate. Look at this whole cost, how much we generate, and we can fund our stuff here. That is my idea. Okay? Thank you guys for your time.
You never start the 4 minutes here. We good? Okay, good. You can start the 4 minutes now. Hey, hello, my name is Walker Creighton. Everyone around here knows me as Boy. Pretty much well known nobody. I'm just coming to you guys as a parent. Okay, I came with the clothes on my back, slippers on my feet, and my 1-year-old son, because I found out about this meeting about 20 minutes before I rode up. That's how I found out about this meeting. I know you guys don't see the 500-600 people that came to yesterday's meeting. but that doesn't mean they're not here now. Each one of us saying something is equivalent to 500-600 people. So I like it known that I'm speaking on behalf of myself, Rose Crichton, which is my wife, Myla Crichton, my 7-year-old daughter, Linnea Crichton, my 12-year-old daughter, and my son Talanoa Crichton, 1 year old. I like everybody know that when we come and we speak, and what I was taught is Lahaina is in the heart. Lahaina is wherever we go, not wherever anyone build anything. If we decide to all go to Kihei, that's Lahaina now. If we all decide to go Wailuku, that's Lahaina now. So when you guys are looking at things and ways on how to, rebuild, don't just look at plan A. Look at plan A, B, C, D. Because I remember the DOE meeting that was over there at the Ritz. I work tourism. I was listening. As much as wherever the guy went, as much as he said the teachers it's up to the teachers and they're ready. I was listening, they wasn't ready. Most of them either lost their homes, they lost a loved one, they have some sort of pain. But everyone was affected in Lahaina. We're not just looking at one certain few, we're looking at everybody as a whole. Now again, I work tourism. We're not ready for open up tourism October 8th, like the guy said all the way in Hawai'i. We're not ready for that. Do you know why? Because we're dealing with people like that on top of the golf courses who could care less about us, telling us that we need to move to the side, get out of the way, and making more traffic for us. Now, back to the education part. Evacuation is necessary now. And if you guys need to go up there with somebody to go look at the roadways, I know two brothers that just went talk before me. They can show you the roads that lead towards the bypass, and we can start that now. If you guys need that information, the two guys that just came before me, you can talk to them. They've been up there hundreds of times. And again, I'm not born and raised Lahaina. I'm not. Just because I'm brown skin does not mean I born and raised Lahaina. But I was taught in Lahaina. I'm a canoe paddler. I've been taught by the correct people. And that's my love, and that's where I stand with them, because they love this area, and I was taught to love this area as well. Again, with the kids, if you guys are going to bring in therapists and talk to kids, I'm a prodigy of somebody coming from, I don't know where the hell that person came from, to come and talk to me during school hours, to pull me out and ask me, how are you? How are you feeling today? Is everything okay? How come your grades isn't up to par? You just pulled me out of the class and you're on bad grading. How am I supposed to get on good grade if you keep pulling me out of the same class? So when you guys get therapists coming to talk to our kids, make sure you talk to the parents first. Don't let nobody talk to our kids without our consent. I don't want people talking to my 7-year-old. Now, as far as Canoe Club goes, yeah, and this is how we've been helping out, is you see how I came with my son and I've been standing in the back ever since I showed up. Is because if I sit down, this guy gonna run on muck around here, and I like how you guys' chairs is all nicer now. But what I'm trying to say is this is the new normal. This is the new normal. We don't have like people that's watching our kids somewhere. We don't. Sorry, I just would be one more minute. I'm sorry. We don't have that. So this is the new normal. Even when I watch parents doing FEMA and Red Cross and stuff like that, they're bringing their kids and they're running on muck all over the place. So what we're doing as the community is we open up our club so that, give the parents and the adults time so that they can go do their stuff and we take your kids on. This is the organizations, the nonprofits within the community that has mission statements that's supposed to take care of the community. But the same goes for you guys as well. You guys have some sort of mission statement or something that says you guys are supposed to take care. Okay? One addition to that. Plan B, pavilions. Anybody been to Kailua Kona? Kailua Kona, Old Airport from this? No? Yeah. You know about the pavilion down at Odays? Large pavilion that can do like 400 or 500 people. Put one in Lahaina, put one in Honoko'ai, put one in Napili. Because that would have taken care of the evacuation and the shelters from the start. That would have had each one of these hubs over there from the start. And that would have took care of you guys' school stuff right now. It's not brain science. It's not rocket science. We just trying to let you guys know it can be done. Okay? But I get took more for today, but that's it. Hey, thank you guys for your time.
My name is Paul Pelkey. I've been coming to Hawaii ever since I was 18. But in fact, I've had learning problems ever since I was a kid growing up in Santa Cruz, California. Being Japanese in the 60s, my mama said, when they told me I had learning problems, my mama said, it's your job to not teach my kid, not teach us, but to make sure we learn. And we talk about behavioral health, just like at past Kanakas. I'm an operating engineer, and I'm also an EMP, an emergency medical professional. So when we talk about air quality, you know, why we not put the charcoal filters in these air conditioning and everything like that? Just another barrier right there. And when we talk about water, you know, this is ridiculous. Because just like we know, this is probably intentional because the whole infrastructure behind it and everything from the wiring, the sewer is from the 60s and everything like that. And we could, they need to be fleshed out. There is technology, we could put liners inside of them. And on the thing of mental health, I would suggest just this morning at 7 o'clock, the Congressional Oversight Committee brought this whole up at 7 o'clock. So everybody is being looked at, and Pico and this young lady didn't want to comment on anything. But then we cannot just say it's HECO, because remember, who's all the utility lines hanging off the poles? That's Verizon, T-Mobile, and it's their job to maintenance and repair these lines. And if you do not repair these or keep up the maintenance, you're at fault also. But then on the mental health side, we expect people, and no disrespect to Ted, because when the gentleman just spoke and holds a master's, you know, we expect pretty much nowadays that everybody hold master's degrees into this, and even when we talk mental health, we want people that have degrees in behavioral health science, socialism, and philosophy, you know, and only the Kanaka Maoris know the philosophy about what's happening. And that's all I have to say, because all the Kanakas just touched the base, especially the gentleman, you know, about these advisory boards. They're just advisory boards. And we did not hear the mayor, our governor, and everybody. They're avoiding everything. And on this congressional committee this morning, we were going to impeach Mr. Biden and everything. He owns over 20 shelf corporations. And if we have a chance to do that to Mr. Green, the governor, and no disrespect to the past governor, when you say we are the safest place in the world, you just opened us up, you know, to the whole world and everything. And that's all I got to say. Thank you very much for being here. Mahalo.
Thank you very much. So I see we have 1, 2, 3, 4 people. Is there anyone else waiting to share comments? Okay, please.
Well, thank you for being here today. My name is Mark Dicos. I'm a 27-year resident of West Maui. And I want to address the built environment and some discussion about the rebuild. So I know a lot of times you hear that we don't want to rebuild new, We want to rebuild the way it was, and I understand that comes from a place of mistrust of who's going to be doing the rebuild. But when we're talking about education settings, I think the structure of the building is critical. So I think when we do rebuild, I think we could first and foremost respect and celebrate the cultures and peoples of Lahaina, but instead of building old school, where you have toxic materials that are carcinogenic to the children, that are so energy inefficient that we have massive electric bills, we have huge carbon emissions, water is so inefficient we deplete all our aquifers. We've heard that over and over again, an issue in Lahaina. With landscaping that repels water, exacerbates stormwater runoff, that add to the heat island effect, wastewater that gets injected into our oceans. Everything requires a car to get to and from. Maybe takes away access to beaches and public spaces. Those are all consequences of the way we build now. Unintended consequences. But we know how to build better. Okay, we know how to build affordable homes with no energy bills because all the energy comes from the sun. Buildings that are net positive water, where they're actually recharging aquifers rather than depleting them. I know I've personally eliminated black water at my place for the last 3 years. It's very simple design changes. We know how to collect and use every drop of rainwater before it goes back into the ground. We know how to control stormwater. Simple landscape design changes that stabilize soils and that trap moisture and reverse the heat island effect. We know how to build with non-toxic materials. We know how to utilize natural light, natural ventilations in those classrooms, in those open spaces that are so important for the health of our keiki, especially the amount of time they spend in those spaces. So accessing work in schools and necessities without a car, critical, simple, smart growth design. All this should be included in the design process, and of course we can source local materials, local talent, and access, stimulate local economies. So this sounds like pie in the sky. Yeah, how can we ever do that here? We're building these. They're called living buildings that address. You probably heard of LEED. LEED is a less bad way to build. Living buildings are net positive impacts on the planet and people. So they address 7 categories, these aren't hippie grass shacks. These are the most beautiful, inspirational, affordable homes, classrooms, daycares, wastewater treatment plants, multi-family, multiplex apartment buildings. They're doing them across the globe. We even have one on the Big Island, the HPU Energy Lab, which is actually a classroom. If you've ever been up there, you'll see it's an amazing place, an amazing learning space for people to go to. So I just close by saying when we do want to rebuild, we don't want to make the same mistakes we have in the past. That's part of the building process. So we owe it to our keiki to build back smarter. Buildings that remember and celebrate the people and cultures of Lahaina, absolutely, but through a lens of regenerative design. So I hope when those discussions happen about the rebuild, and there's retrofitting existing buildings as well, where you have those folks that have that information, that have that knowledge that you can inject into those spaces so they're healthy places for our keiki to learn and be healthy. Wow.
Thank you very much, Mark. Next, we're going to go to Ali Kikona because she's been waiting on Zoom. Ali.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for letting me testify today. I've been a resident in Lahaina for 16 years. My kids have gone to schools in Lahaina. We now reside up country because we couldn't afford to buy a house in Lahaina. Some things I'd like to bring up, which many people have brought up great things, is parent rights. I understand everybody wants to get these children help and they want them to get counseling and they want to talk to the kids, but at some point you need to also include the parents in what you're talking to our kids about. I homeschool my 2 little kids because I do not trust the Board of Education. You all are elected, you are not voted in. That should be something that people should think about, that we should change, that you should be voted in by the people. Lahaina does get the short end of the stick when it comes to funding. All of Maui County does. And it's really disrespectful that Keith Hayashi gets up 20 minutes within this meeting. I understand that he is the superintendent of all of Hawaii, but he also gave himself a pay raise last year. He makes over $240,000. I don't make that, working many jobs. And I think that what the fire should have sparked with the Department of Education and the Board of Education is to look at every school across Hawaii and look at their evacuation plans. This is the 3 schools you don't have an evacuation plan for. How many schools across the state are like that? As you drive out of Lahaina today, you'll see there still is only 2 roads for the upper Napili Kapalua. You know, there is only 2 roads in and out, and that's something that needs to be addressed. I don't expect you folks to do it, but you should also look at how we're speaking outside of Lahaina. Now I have kids up country. The traffic issues up country. Do they have evacuation plans? Bus passes. That's an issue too for parents. You know, now the Department of Education sent out an email saying that you need to purchase a bus pass between this date and this date because that's the only time we're going to authorize them. And you took away the 10 pass for the buses when I don't need to pay $40, $72 a quarter for my daughter to ride the bus, possibly 4 times because I can't get to the school. These are things you need to think about with parents. And going a little off topic as well is that the wrecks, you know, going in and out of Lahaina since we've opened up after the fire, there's been multiple wrecks. And we're busing our children across the island. And these children are scared because what happens if there's a wreck? And those children in Kihei are stuck. Where are you taking the kids? And I do understand this is a parent's choice to put their children and their faith into the Department of Education, but you all are very highly paid to be here to listen to us. We don't have enough charter schools. We don't have enough homeschool programs. All we have is the Department of Education. And you guys are failing us. You're failing our kids. And with COVID on the rise, do you plan to start masking our children again? Like, what options are you giving to the parents? And this needs to be addressed. The teachers' pay is also a huge concern. Teachers cannot afford to live here in Maui and work one job. We're already going to lose multiple teachers due to these fires. People are already moving away. But even going up to Upcountry High School, my daughter doesn't have a math teacher. She has a substitute teacher for math, which is pretty huge. You know, that's the one thing I took away from school is math and writing. We don't even have enough teachers on the schools that exist here on Maui. And now you want to send children back to the schools that don't have evacuation plans, that don't have anything. That's not a plan. And you guys need to come up with a plan. And Keith Hayashi needs to be there to be part of this plan and hear the teachers. Thank you.
Thank you, Alvin. Next, please.
My name is Jessica Kariam-Sano. I am a mother of 8 children and 5 grandchildren. 5 of those children go to school in Lahaina. 2 of my grandchildren also attend 2 of the 3 schools up there. The first thing that I want to say is that I think we need more clear and transparent communication. That's the main thing. And nobody knew about this meeting till yesterday. I feel like in order to get into these meetings, you have to be a part of a special membership and know the codes, because we don't know. We don't know what's going on. Nobody tells us anything. We get an email every once in a while saying, oh, you're gonna open, oh, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, but nobody knows what's happening. I feel like, you know, maybe talk with the attendance person, because she knows all the numbers. She calls me every day if the kid's not in school. Maybe let her know that we want to have one meeting. You know, that's super important to us. That's why you don't see very many people over here, because we don't know these things. The other thing, we live on Lahaina Road. We live on Puhua Street. We live on College Street. I grew up on Puhua Street, which is 2 streets down. I've lived in the same area my whole life. I went to school, Lahaina Luna graduate, 1997. On Kopili Street, the street between those 2 streets, many people died because they couldn't get out. So to not have an evacuation plan for my children when I send them to school is extremely important to me. I mean, transparent communication with fire blocks, if you guys want to do that. If you guys want to take Kuya Road to get out. If you're going to make the bypass, extend the bypass. If you're going to go above Lahaina Luna to get the kids out. We need to know these things. And also, if you're going to bus most of these kids in, we need buses from Kahului, Kihei, all these places that we've sent people to stay, now need to come back, right? So they need to know and be comforted to know that their kids can return to the school with their friends, and, you know, to be in a place that they're comforted, because they're going through so much. The buses that come from here, all these buses need to stay up there. If those buses don't leave, I mean, if the buses leave, they're not going to have a way to get out when they're evacuated. The other thing is, you know, we're beating a dead horse with, you know, the air quality, all these things, right? So the air quality in real time. So what is the process when the wind does blow and we notice, oh, you know what, the area isn't safe right now, like immediately? What's the plan for that? N95s, what are we doing? Are we evacuating the children? If the winds are high that day, are they going to school or they're not going to school? We need to know all these things. So, I mean, it's more about being comforted, right? Like, we have gone through so many things, so we want to know, like, that our children are going to be safe. We have boarders that are coming over from other islands, from other areas. Like, their parents want to be safe. When we evacuated 3 other children that weren't mine. And I cried when we left, because I was thinking to myself, what if I wasn't with my children at this time? You know, and that's the feeling that we're going to get when we send them to school. What's going to happen to them? I mean, you know what I mean? It's traumatizing. The other thing is, Lahaina Luna Road, okay, I live a mile away from the school. If I leave within 10 minutes, if I leave at 7 o'clock, I can get there in 5 minutes. If I leave at 7:15, it takes me 45 minutes to take them to school, because the road is so crowded and congested. And so that little loop-de-loop, if you go take a little drive up there, there's a little loop-de-loop that's going to come from the north side, and you got to take that little loop. That little loop floods during the winter time, because there's major rains in that area. So what are we going to do about that? We can't be like, oh, get traffic, now you guys can't go to school. I think if you staggered the start times, even 15 minutes, we would be able to kind of alleviate some of the congestion. And also, if you get kids, like I have kids, Princess Nahiana, Lahaina Intermediate, and Lahaina Luna. If the Princess Nahiana starts at a certain time, I can take all the kids one time and allow them to walk to Lahaina Intermediate, allow them to walk to Lahaina Luna if they need be, right? So I think that we need creative solutions, but we gotta know what's going on, just so we're not, you know. And then the other thing is, I have friends that have their kids in homeschool. They're doing the online, right? They don't want to send them to school because they're panicked, they're freaked out, they have PTSD from even being away from their children. So if they want to homeschool, let them homeschool. You know, they want to do the online, let them do the online. They need more resources. There's no reason why they got to sit in line at the Citizens Church when church is donating their time for help these kids with online school. You know, there needs to be more resources allocated to the people to make them feel more comfortable. I mean, you'll get through this, and it's not going to be forever. But just this time being, we need to have more resources allocated to Lahaina. they said we make more money in the state per capita. So we've been making deposits. We've been making choke deposits. Now we're asking for withdrawal. That's what we need. So we need the resources that are here, that are available to us in the state, to be able to make these changes. Thank you.
Thank you. And so we're going to take 2 more people because unfortunately, the members have to catch flights back. And again, we wanted to be here with you, but we had to adjust our schedules. They had to adjust our schedules to come out, and we want to make sure they get back because that was the agreement that we made. So we're going to take 2 more people, and there's 3 people left. Okay, so we'll take 3 people, and if you have questions or comments, please submit it through these cards. We will be taking that information back. And before we continue, members, if you have, does anyone have questions? Okay, so yeah, we'll wrap that out. Okay, so the next individual please come up, and then we have 3 more.
Aloha, my name is Charles Tang. I am a 4-year Lahaina Luna boarder. I'm also the boarding dorm attendant at Lahaina Luna High School. Everything that these folks have been talking about is accurate. I can tell you that personally. I've lived on the campus. I know the campus. I know the campus better than no offense to you, but Miss Winky, I know the campus better than Mr. Caroso. The only other people here that has better knowledge of that is Ika, who's in the crowd with us, Jeremy Dels Reyes, who's been on, who's already done his testimony. A lot of folks are not realizing what's going on with our borders, or even considering that. Not even talking about it, in fact. How many of our borders' parents have been addressed after they were left up there? Were they informed? How did we have any contingency plans to make sure that those kids, to this day, are being addressed? These kids don't live in Lahaina. I know that. I'm from Kalihi Valley. We put our time, we put our heart into the Board of Education, the Department of Education. I did for 4 years. To put that kind of mental health onto them, the fact that they were there till 6 p.m. watching the fires and us evacuating. We need to really consider the important parts of that dynamic that these kids are going to need. We're going to need nighttime people there, nighttime behavioral health individuals, or have ourselves sleeping or living on campus. Because we are the people that understand these kids. We know how to support them. We should be educated to be able to support them in those spaces. Because you're expecting us to live with them and not be able to address the issues that they're currently dealing with. Now, you said something that was kind of significant, and I want to make sure I point that out. You said that everyone here had to adjust their schedules. This should be your schedule. I want to make sure that that's super clear. This should be your schedule. I understand you have other issues that are really important to take care of throughout the state. The most major disaster that's happened in American history. Yeah, I put my mouth a little bit closer to the mic to that. The biggest disaster in American history. What does that tell you? Why are we not focusing our energies into this? I want to make sure that my kids are safe. Mango Lane, which none of you know about besides maybe you, is an area that you can access. Kamehameha Schools has to give you permission to go on top of that. That is the other way to get off the top of that mountain. There is no exit. You can't go up. You go up, you're going up to the water supply, and then you're going into Hans Valley. That's Kahoma Valley, but Hans lives right down there. He's been there for the past 20 years. You can ask anybody who knows. I'm frustrated, I'm flustered. I'm going to speak with Heidi a little bit more about some of the really important things that I have concerns for that doesn't need to be necessarily made public, because these things are stuff that has to do with the boarding program and how our logistics work. But there are some major issues that I want to address when it comes to mental health. I'm a Felix kid. I just want to make sure that that's pointed out. Now, if you don't know what that is, I'm a Felix Waihe'e child. That means that I have a learning disability. I have ADHD. I was diagnosed when I was in the 1st grade. How many of my kids are also under that same concern? Boarders that go to Lahaina Luna are not necessarily the best kids in the world. They're not the richest. They don't come from the best homes. We take them in and we shape them into adults, into proper people that go into society. And we have done that since 1834, when we started with missionaries. 1834. Our program surpasses everything that exists here. That's all I have to say about that. You guys should consider it.
Aloha. My name is Mihaela Stoops. I lived in West Maui for almost 20 years. I am a mother of a 14-year-old, and I'm also, I volunteered in many capacities to increase educational opportunities in West Maui. I want to acknowledge you for being here today, and to also acknowledge what a difficult job you have in front of you. You have a tremendous responsibility to solve what is an educational crisis. And this crisis did not start with a fire. This crisis was already in place prior to August 8th. We all know the issues with crowded classrooms, not enough teachers, the use of substitute teachers became, usual. And I think that this working group needs to consider two things in solving this crisis. In addition to the physical well-being of children, you also need to consider the emotional well-being and the academic well-being. And it goes back to the teachers and providing housing for them and decent compensation that can allow them to live here in West Maui and have only one job and not multiple jobs. So when it comes to housing, I've learned today of the temporary school that will be built as part of Pulelehua. I have not had time to do more research, but it makes me wonder, why can that school not be permanent? What does temporary mean? Is it because the structure is temporary while the real school is being built, or are we expecting it to be, dismantled in, a year or so? There are many that already talked about the need for another school in West Maui and the relocation of King Kamehameha III. So one thing that also this group may consider is it possible to provide housing to teachers on campus or in proximity to the campus to make it as easy as possible? And last but not least, many of those that testified before me addressed communication issues. I am happy to hear that the schools now have internet providers and good internet. But what we learned from this disaster is that we need backup for everything. And that includes backup for communication systems. So if you think you have a system in place, you do need to consider Plan B as well. And that includes how to communicate to parents efficiently and timely. So thank you again for your presence here today.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kalana Shin. I'm a 2014 Lahaina Luna graduate. And I also went to Kulakai Kuni, and the guy earlier that talked, Manuel Kulaloya, his sister is actually my auntie too. And she was my kumu when I went to Kulakai. So just a little history there. The evacuation route, I know everybody mentioned going through Kamehameha's property, Kamehameha School's property. If we can do that, I don't know if you got to get an easement for a road to go through there, even just for emergency purposes. But if we could also use that road to help alleviate traffic for schooling. That would be an option. For immediate, I think schooling for the kids right now, another option could probably be like the hotels. All the families in there already. They get spaces, they get ballrooms. You can try to see if they can allow teachings for schooling in there for the people who don't want distant learning, but also for the parents who don't want to send their kids to school right now. At least temporary for this school year, so we can figure out all the safety for the water and the air quality, because the air quality might be good right now, but in a week later might not be. Yeah, it all changes. The school curriculum, I think we should involve more hands-on learning, create more classes that teaches more self-sustaining skills for the kids, especially for in a time like this. Yeah, a lot of us could use those skills, but even just in life in general. And the last thing is, the communication. I think got to do better on that. All the parents get emails. The schools get all the parents' emails. Send them out that way. We're all up and running right now. I know plenty of people get started. But communication from you guys regarding all these meetings to get the people's voices heard is very, very important. They need to more work on. But thank you guys for coming here today. Appreciate it.
You're last. We have one more, and then we need to unfortunately wrap it up because we're already over time, and I don't want people to miss their flights.
Thank you everyone for coming. My name is Lori Betzel-Nielsen. As a volunteer that helped organize this meeting, I know everything that went into this, and I'm so grateful that our church building is where we sit today for you all to be able to listen to our community. So thank you each for coming. I know again how much this took. I also want to acknowledge that I understand this meeting has not gone exactly as planned as far as the topics that have been discussed today. I know that a lot of things that were discussed were not necessarily on the agenda. However, I would be remiss to not say that the number one sentiment I heard expressed today and request is that the evacuation plans are well thought out and prepared, and not only prepared and talked about, but actually completed. Like, we would love to see you guys there making sure that road is done before we send the kids up to school. So I think that is the number one sentiment, and I think if you do that before October 16th, 17th, and 18th, we will be great. I love the idea of the staggered bus times and the 30 minutes, 30 minutes, 30 minutes. That was brilliant. I also want to second the thoughts of Sonia Chambliss about mental health. As suicide rates are already going up, and with the holiday season upon us, I feel like we owe it to our community to be prepared for that. We are also very concerned about preschool, specifically ages 5 and under. With the Kapalua hotels to Kahana opening up October 8th, parents will need and want to return to work. One of the guys that came up and spoke, he is going back to work October 8th at the Ritz, but he has 3 kids, 5 and under, and he needs childcare. So one important thing on behalf of the West Valley community is that we would like 2 locations, 8 o'clock a.m. to 4 p.m., whether government-led or volunteer-led. One in this area would be great, Kapalua and Apili, and then one down in Oluwalu to help some of those parents, which I'm happy to help advocate and work with private owners to get buildings. But we do definitely need preschool, especially as we prepare to open up for tourism. And just so you know, all 4 preschools in Lahaina burnt down. So that is why this is an emergency need, preschool. Lastly, one last request, at least from me for this group to consider, is can there be emergency proclamations written up and or law put in place that will alleviate the red tape that goes back to violating teacher contracts? I know that you guys have to go through so much to get things done. There's so much red tape. and everybody gets so frustrated, but they don't understand that you have to go through all these different procedures and steps to get things done. Even you guys can't even talk to the powers that be sometimes. So anyway, just really hoping to continue these discussions, and thank you guys for giving us the forum to do that today.
Okay, thank you so much. I am going to take full responsibility for the communication, and so there seems to not have been sufficient penetration into the community, and so we will work on our communication structures as well internally. I want to thank everyone for coming out. We received a lot of valuable feedback, and we're going to take all of it with us, so please know that. And I'm going to just ask the members if they have any last comments, and if you do, you'll have 30 seconds. Okay.
Sorry. Thank you. I'm Caitlin Ari. I used to teach at King Kamehameha III for the past 6 years. We had that entire school burned down, and I was supposed to start at Princess Naki at the end of this year. I lost my home. I'm going through a miscarriage right now. That's the only reason I'm here. And I don't understand. There's no teachers here. You do this all of the time. You ask for a voice. You ask for stakeholders. We're your stakeholders. We're on the front lines, and we never have a voice. You're doing this meeting, and they're teaching the kids right now. Some of them aren't ready at all. I'm not ready. I'm on leave right now. Many teachers are stepping up and stepping in. How can they be here? How can they sit here and tell you, we know what the kids need? We're there. For 7 years, this was going to be my 7th year. And you want a voice, reach out to them. Don't do these surveys, but listen. And the parents too. There's no way. I saw the meeting yesterday. If you would have just carried that out, and I'm not saying because you're already here, so thank you. I'm not trying to say anything against you being here because you're already opening this space, to open it at a different time. Make sure that it's known. Give teachers a day, give a waiver day, give a day where we can be heard and they can share their plans, because you got so many people that have to go in and do this, and some of us aren't ready and some of us are. So let's do that. And I know parents that want a voice in this. There's no way they knew. I saw the email last night. I got on my computer first thing at 9 o'clock ready for this, and I don't understand. We're, as a teacher, it's admin, it's you, and it's the families. We are the stakeholders, and the kids should have a voice too if they want to share their voices. And we should be making this right now, but no one's here. It doesn't make sense. So maybe next time, maybe you can do this again and actually open the floor for everyone, because it doesn't make sense that we don't have a voice or a voice in this. But thank you for also giving the space for Son to share. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, members, does anyone have any comments? Okay, Vice Chair, or actually, let's let Rep. Garrett go first, and then Vice Chair Martin thereafter.
I've got 30 seconds to share. There's more I want to share from that. After we close, I'd like to stay behind and basically go through line by line all the concerns that came up. Are you guys okay if you stay behind after that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's my 30 seconds.
I just want to thank everybody for coming out. We did learn a lot. We've been briefed by Department of Health, by DOE. I've been in another working group talking to DLNR and different groups, but hearing it firsthand from you folks is really helpful for someone who doesn't live on Maui and doesn't live on this part of Maui. So we appreciate people taking time from your day to come and share with us. And everything is written down, all the comments. We notice when the same stories or issues come up again and again, and we hear that, and we realize those are important, and we'll try. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. And last, we're going to hear from the Department of Education, and thank you again to me for coming out.
Thank you. Just wanted to thank everybody for being here, and wanted to acknowledge the concerns that we heard multiple times about air, water, soil, as well as evacuation plans. And so just wanted to let you know we're concerned about those too. There is information online on the DOE website where we're providing updates as information becomes available about each of those different aspects. So in fact, as some people referenced today, the test results are posted online, and we will continue to be communicating about that. And the evacuation plan is being updated. People are working on it right now, and that'll be ready before school starts. So we will make sure that those are available and communicated.
Okay, so thank you everyone else for coming out. We greatly appreciate it. This meeting is adjourned.